What's your name, school, age, and ethnicity?
My name is Sue, but my student name is Chris, and I'm 20 years old, and I go to Laney College, and my ethnicity is men.
My name is Pamela Raffaman. I go to Laney College. I'm 19 years old, and I'm half Lao, half Cambodian.
My name is Mimi. I currently attend Laney College, and my ethnicity that I claim myself as is a Chinese American.
My name is Aisha. I go to Laney. I'm 20 years old, and I'm Filipino.
My name is Jason. I'm 19. I go to Laney College, and I'm Filipino.
Growing up in Oakland as an Asian American, especially as a Southeast Asian person, I'd say it was different from a lot of other Asian people because of the fact that I'm not East Asian, which is the type of Asian that usually gets represented in the media. So I remember that going to Manzanita Elementary right next to 25th. I remember the first time I ever encountered a race issue was with some Latino folks because they thought we was like Chinese and they just didn't like us. So I remember there was like a me and versus Mexican thing going on. But yeah, I guess like the most difficult thing about growing up in Oakland is having to represent yourself because you don't have that representation like Koreans or Chinese or Japanese people do, especially if I'm, being an in person, which is a minority within a minority. I think some of the other bigger issues was when I had problems with other people that's Asian too, like what I like to call ethnic funk, when it's like Chinese versus men or Cambodian versus men or something like that growing up, because sometimes we always thought that we was better than one than the other and stuff. But yeah.
As a Chinese American, what are your struggles? The struggle that I face the most is that since I was born in America and I grew up in like a really like Americanized like society, so one of the struggles that I face is the language barrier between me and my family. I can't really speak Chinese fluently because I've been so adapted to the American culture, so English was like my first language and one of my most main language that I spoke a lot. I spoke around with everyone at school, at work, and it's just ever since I grew up, it's been like my main language is speaking English. So
When I first moved there, it was a really white rednecky state. So when I went over there, people automatically thought that I couldn't even speak English, that I was Chinese, and that I was a little nerd. I was a refugee, things like that. They really expected me to be.
They just acted like they haven't seen family in a long time. They loved seeing me. They loved seeing my mom and everybody else. We're family.
They treated me like shit.
Experience changed in any way?
As an Asian American, my experience today hasn't changed much. The only thing that's changed is my awareness of how these stereotypes are put into our communities and how we see the stereotypes. But other than that, I still experience stereotypes from people within my own race and from other races. I think that the biggest change is probably the way I look. I feel like I got darker since I grew up, and my hair is different now. A lot of people think I'm mixed, so a lot of people don't really, strangers, people that don't know me, they don't really think I'm all full Asian. They always think I'm mixed with black or Asian. So when I meet different people or just new people, they don't really like say, "Are you Chinese?" Just like that. I don't know. It seems like they're pretty conscious about how they approach me, just because of the way I look now compared to when I was a kid, when I looked more like a stereotypical, just stereotypically Asian person. Yeah.
I feel like I belong here. People started to be nice to me, and I started to socialize more. Unlike before, I was always inside my house.
My perspective of things, I guess. I mean, just kind of find out most Americans are big jerks. Nah, but in all seriousness, though, they treated me like I was family. Even some of the friends that my mom didn't even knew, they were nice to us. Like strangers in America, they're kind of jerks. Sorry to say, but they are.
5 years passed. Everybody started to accept me more. They started to believe, like, understand that I'm not a foreign Asian, that I'm actually Asian American. They kept assuming I was Chinese. They still do. That assume I'm Chinese because they never heard of Lao or Cambodian or anything like that. So the stereotyping still continues, but ever since they learned that I speak English, a lot of it has cut down. So
Is what does your family think about you speaking as English as your main language? Um, I remember when I first spoke English to my grandparents, they didn't understand what the heck I was saying. And they're just like, what? And they're speaking Chinese to me. And they found out that I didn't know how to speak Chinese to them, or Chinese to my family, or to anyone. And they hated the fact that I couldn't speak Chinese because I couldn't communicate with them. I couldn't tell them about how I was doing that day. So I don't really speak to my grandparents because they're really traditional Chinese, like old Chinese traditional. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, so they just hate the fact, and I can't communicate with them, so I can't get really close to them or connect to them into a deeper level. And they just think that I'm a disgrace because I don't know how to speak my own language. So that's something that I have to work on. And for my family that I live with and shelter me and all that stuff, they tried many different ways to teach me English. Like they would torture me and like to like say a certain Chinese phrase. Like they point out like the most randomest like object and they tell me how to say it. They ask me how do I say it in Chinese. And there's many like threats. I get a lot of threats that I'm gonna go to Chinese school, but that never happened. But it was just to scare me so that I could learn my own language. I would have to say that. But they don't really do that now. They noticed that they couldn't do much because I spoke English so well that it's just my main language. So um I don't have any insecurities about my traditional culture. I mean, I respect the culture because everybody has different cultures. Mine's in the Chinese culture, and I do follow what the culture is sometimes, like for Chinese New Year's and all that stuff for the Chinese tradition. So I don't have anything to be insecure about. I'm proud to claim myself as a Chinese American. So that's all.